Syndicate Crown event organizers knew about the safety hazard. They fucked up. CrossFit fucked up again. I'm Dr. Justin, physical therapist, dad, former CrossFit affiliate owner, retired CrossFit Level 2 coach, and United States Air Force veteran. Okay, now you know who the hell I am and why I feel I'm on a place to give some perspective on today's topic. Let's get into this video. So if you haven't heard, Scott Panchik ruptured his ACL and tore his medial and lateral meniscus when he landed on excess rope on the ground in the Syndicate Crown Semifinals. This happened after event 3 of the competition, which was the first event of day 2 called 2014 Regional Event 5, which is in 10 rounds for time, 1 legless rope climb, and a 170-foot run. Scott stated on his Instagram account, at 7:30 a.m., we were briefed on the day's events. After seeing the amount of rope left laying on the competition floor, I verbally expressed concerns I had for athletes' safety in an event as fast as this one. I felt I presented a strong case with various examples of why this could be unsafe. There have been multiple noted injuries in the past at events like this. I also mentioned that the Torian Pro had done this event already and the rope was cut, keeping all the ropes off the ground. I was told nothing could be done to change the ropes, and this is what was provided to be used. Heading into the final heat, it was obvious that every second would count in this event. During the descent in round 3 or 4, my foot landed on the extra rope on the ground. That's when I felt a pop in my good knee. I managed to finish the event in hopes that it wasn't that bad. I spent the next 2 to 3 hours in and out of medical, testing movements, talking and praying with my wife, and during that time I went back and forth too many times to count on what to do. During the second heat of the event, I told my wife I was done. We both cried to the breath, yet still I grabbed my wrist wraps and headed down to the warm-up area. When my heat was called, I willed myself to the corral with a tiny chip in my ankle and they called us out. I made the decision to withdraw, something I've never had to do in this sport. I was fully prepared physically to compete this weekend. I was here to make memories with family, friends, and competitors and prove I am still one of the fittest men on earth. My initial reaction when I first read this is, wow, this is not good. We should never, this should have never happened, but it did. Things happen in sports all the time. Maybe Scott should have been more aware of his landing and where his feet were, but he actually was aware because he brought this up. He brought up this fact beforehand. He brought it up to the Syndicate Crown team, and this still happened. Stuff happens. We can't control all the variables, but when 9-time CrossFit Games athlete, prominent figure in the CrossFit community, and an overall just good dude says the rope length on the ground is a problem, maybe we should listen, just maybe. Good thing is that as I'm preparing for this video, the morning chalk up just announced that Dave Castro is coming back. That's right. I said, fuck yes, we do need some OG CrossFit DNA pumping through HQ at this point in time, or CrossFit as we once knew it will go extinct. And I know Castro will fucking attack this issue with a vengeance when he's back. Glad to have you back, sir. All right, some basic ACL and meniscus information. First off, what is the ACL, or the anterior cruciate ligament? The ACL connects the femur to the tibia along with other ligaments and helps to stabilize the knee joint. Most injuries to the ACL do occur from a sudden and traumatic impact to the knee, as in many football injuries or landing and twisting motion after jumping, which is exactly what happened to Scott at the Syndicate Crown Semifinals. What's the meniscus? It's just a cartilage pad between the femur and the tibia that acts like a shock absorber. Some quick statistics and research. Upwards of 250,000 people have ACL injuries each year, according to the CDC, with costs over $2 billion. According to Vad Rule et al. In the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine, titled Economic and Performance Impact of ACL Injury in National Basketball Association Players, it looked at players from the year 2000 to 2015 with ACL injury. They did not mention any other ligament or meniscus injuries concurrent with ACL. They measured the cost of recovery, player salary, statistical performance using a player efficiency rating, time missed due to injury, and return to play rate. This study included 35 NBA players with a total economic loss of $99 million. $2.9 million was the average cost of recovery per player. There was 91% return to play rate, with average about 5.5 years of play after the injury. And of the players that were all-stars, there was a 0% return to all-star status. Yes, this is a much different athlete population, I get it, with arguably higher demands on the ACL than CrossFit demands. But for Scott and others recovering from ACL and meniscus surgery, this is promising data that can be important to have as they are grinding away at their long recovery process. So what does this recovery process look like? As far as Scott's recovery and physical therapy goes, I know Scott will make a full recovery just as he has with his 3-ish knee surgeries he's had in the past, so long as he doesn't rush back too fast. And I know that he has a great medical team behind him, helping him along his road to recovery, and I'm not looking to interfere with that process. Rather, I want to give you the insight into what the process looks like and maybe give Scott some information that will be helpful in his recovery as well. So with that said, I want to paint a broad picture of what the ACL and meniscus repair and recovery looks like from someone who happens to help people with this very topic for a living. It's not going to be all encompassing by any means. So here we go. How long will rehab take? Well, this, of course, it depends on your training age, your GPP, your general physical preparedness, your sickness, your wellness or fitness, wherever you fit in that spectrum. If you've been training consistently most of your life like Scott has, his body naturally wants to return to his previous healthy state, which will help him to recover faster. He's just so much closer to that super wellness on the spectrum of sickness, wellness, and fitness, and super wellness goes. On the flip side, if you've never trained, you don't even know what 3x15 means, you don't know what the difference between your quad and hammies are, and you have other health problems to boot, well, you're gonna be in for a long road to recovery. Full recovery from ACL can vary largely anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to fully heal that grafted tendon. Like I said, since Scott is very well trained, his body will want to get back to that state as fast as possible and reestablish symmetry and homeostasis. He's already training, last I saw on his Instagram account, he's already training in the gym in addition to physical therapy to take advantage of that crossover or cross-education effect, which will help him to regain anywhere from 15 to 30% of his strength in the repaired ACL knee, all while training the rest of his body and not really training like he has been on the injured knee. Basically, his injured knee will be healthier faster, it's going to heal faster, get stronger faster if he keeps training his other leg and upper body. When combined with a well-designed and well-monitored physical therapy program, which I'm sure he's getting, he will be well on his way to Wolverine-like healing and return to dominating the competition floor in classic Panchik style. So let's now look at the recovery timeline and some basic benchmarks. I would expect Scott to have full knee extension, volitional quad control with a straight leg raise, walking without a limp, and to be able to complete a full revolution on an echo bike or whatever bike that he has in about 2 to 4 weeks. By week 6, he should be slowly jogging 200 to 600 meters without a limp and be back to normal stride length. And by week 12, he will begin multi-directional work and returning to some traditional CrossFit WODs, although he is going to have to scale at this point. I will say that this is not typical for everyone, so don't take this as advice for you. This is just general information. This is for well-trained, seasoned athletes that I would see some kind of a timeline like this. If you're not an athlete, your timelines will be much longer. Typical return to sport, depending on which study you look at, is around 12 months, give or take a couple months, although full healing of the ACL graft takes about 18 months. That said, back in 2011, Adrian Peterson was running and jumping, sprinting short bursts at about 5 months and was full speed at about 8 months. He went on to win MVP the following NFL season, and of note, his ACL may not have been fully healed until midway through that season. The take-home message here is that recovery timelines are highly variable. Motivation, training age has a big impact on readiness and ability to return to sport. Adrian Peterson was training or doing physical therapy 3 times a day, and traditional PT for the average Joe or Jane is about 3 to 5 times a week. So big difference there, which can further push back the timeline to full recovery. So how to maximize time in physical therapy and get the best out of your time while you're there. Number 1, find a physical therapist that is a specialist in ACL rehab. Most PTs are generalists and treat every orthopedic injury under the sun. Few specialize. Don't accept anything other than one-on-one care. Many outpatient clinics will book you with 1 to 2 other patients if you don't say anything, which will dramatically reduce the quality of care that you receive. And also make sure that you're being treated by a physical therapist or physical therapist assistant. Both are good options as long as they see more than 1 ACL patient a year, that is. Number 2, continue training the other leg and upper body during your recovery process. Why? Like I mentioned before, you can take advantage of that crossover effect, which is going to give you about 15 to 30% improvement in strength on your surgical side just by continuing to train the rest of your body as you're going through therapy. Basically, it will help you recover faster, which is a great thing. Number 3, post-surgical nutrition. You got to keep up the protein and the carbs to stave off atrophy because you're not going to be using that surgical side as much. You're not going to be weight bearing as much. You got to have the muscle building blocks in the system for full healing and maintaining, then gaining muscle. Number 4, electrical muscle stimulation and blood flow restriction is going to be very important to get the proper stimulus at low loads. The burn is real if you've never done this before. It's a great tool to add to your hypertrophy program as well. Just don't cheap out on your BFR unit. Number 5, walk. You're going to be weight bearing as tolerated to start. Usually the first week, second week and beyond should be no crutches and walking with a locked brace. Walking and weight bearing is going to be key as it's going to activate all the muscles surrounding the knee joint, including the quadricep complex, hamstring complex, gastroc complex, anterior tibialis, and peroneals. Again, this is very important in the big goal of regaining function and reducing muscular atrophy throughout the recovery process. Find a clinic that has an Alter G treadmill if you can, which is going to reduce your body weight as well as allow for a slower linear progression walking program with more and more of your body weight percentage each week. After the incisions are healed, you can start a walking program in the pool, which is going to be another way to offload the body and allow for increased walking volume in the earlier stages and get you back to where you want to be. Number 6 is going to be a bonus for you. Get a copy of your surgeon's protocol. The protocol basically week by week says what you can and can't do. Keep it with you so you can keep yourself in check and your physical therapist or physical therapist assistant on track. Providers can see upwards of 50 patients a week depending on the clinic and population. The more information you have, the better your recovery will be and the better care you will receive. So that was a lot to recap. Scott Panchik tore his ACL and meniscus in the Syndicate Crown Semifinals after landing on excess rope on the ground. The Syndicate Crown event organizers knew about the safety hazard. They fucked up. CrossFit fucked up again. Scott Panchik will make a speedy recovery, I believe, and I fully expect to see him on the competition floor, either as an individual or team competitor in the future. As far as recovery for yourself, you can make a full recovery from ACL and meniscus reconstructive surgery if you put in the work and stay on top of your treatment program and on top of your providers. Last, Dave Castro is back. Hell yeah, brother. I'm done. TED Talk over. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, subscribe and like. Warhawk Doc out. See ya.